All right, an eventful Culotta and the Prince here on this Wednesday as Kevin Steele was announced defensive coordinator on Tuesday night. And early this morning, right at the top of the 8 o'clock hour, our friend Scotty Roussel at Football Scoop broke the news that Ed Orgeron would be joining the staff as LSU's defensive line coach. Now you bring in Steele as the DC, Orgeron as the defensive line coach. We've talked about this scenario before. We didn't envision Steele there, but we always had said, look, Orgeron needs to be a part of this staff. Now, Derek, here on this Wednesday, it's official.
Yeah, and you know the breaking news aspect of it was something that we had heard something could possibly go down with it earlier on. So yes, we kept talking about being Dave Grohl's birthday because we didn't want to talk about the other things there. But when the news did finally come out, look, there's no question this is an exciting time for the LSU fan base. I think that even Kevin, you had mentioned it about the energy that Ed Orgeron brings on the recruiting trail is something that right now this fan base needs a shot in the arm. I think Ed Orgeron's the right guy for that.
I totally agree with you. You know, the polls come out this year, this today actually, and LSU's not even in the top 25, so the fans are a little bit down. You got to get them excited about something. Dead period ends tomorrow. It's a great time for this to be announced, especially in the fact that, he'll be on the road in 24 hours and bring some recruits.
And the other thing I think about with this, people were asking us, we had a caller come in and ask us, why do you not announce them both at the same time? Why do you separate them? I think that because of the job and the title that Kevin Steele has, you give him his day. You allow him to have his night where the story's all about him, and then the next day you do this. So on the 13th, you're announcing your defensive coordinator. On the 14th, you're announcing your defensive line coach. And on the 15th, you got them all out there recruiting. I think from a timing perspective, it worked out really well for LSU.
Kevin, you brought up the recruiting aspect, and we've talked about it with Orgeron for as much as we've talked about the vacancy and what could happen when Chief ultimately left and went to Texas A&M. But you brought up a good point on the show. Still one more day for those underclassmen to rethink whether or not they're going to put their names into the spring NFL draft. And a big one is on the defensive line. Daniil Hunter. We don't know what's going on with the backstory if he's signed with an agent. But if not, he definitely has something to think about today.
Yeah, him, Quan Alexander, Jalen, all the guys have committed to going to NFL. If they haven't inked a deal with an agent or taken anything from the agent, then they still have the opportunity to pull themselves out and say, whoa, hold on a second. We're going to be a better team because these are the guys we're bringing in. And that's a real possibility that we'll only know about in the next 24 hours prior to the deadline for committing to the draft. So we'll see how it goes, and hopefully a guy like Daniil will come back and have an opportunity to play for a great coach like Ed Orgeron.
We all know what everybody thinks about the Orgeron hire. What was your initial reaction when you heard Kevin Steele's name?
Yeah, just like everybody else, I think it's kind of where did that come from? But you look at his credentials. He hasn't won national championships on his own as a head coach, but he has been a successful coach everywhere he's been from a position standpoint, defense coordinator, and one of the fans on the huddle made a great point. And he was so good, in fact, that Saban has hired him in 3 different occasions for 3 different roles. I don't know if you go from a defense coordinator to administrative head coach, if that's a demotion. It's a way for a smart coach to get another good coach on their staff, and so I think it's a good hire. I think he brings experience to the SEC, and he knows the conference well. So in that aspect, he's going to be a bonus, and he's going to be a huge win for LSU.
We've seen Frank Wilson and Ed Orgeron work together at Ole Miss and Tennessee. What's that dynamic like on the recruiting trail?
Yeah, those guys they're good together. You talk to Frank Wilson, you talk to Ed Orgeron, they're family. So it's going to be exciting to see what happens when those guys get unleashed here in about a day.
Still good news on the filling the vacancies, but number one in the offseason, right? Develop a quarterback.
There's no doubt about it. You do all you want with the coaching staff, but if you can't develop the key positions on your field, namely for LSU, the quarterback position, whether it's Jennings or Harris, or you bring in somebody else, a transfer, or even a new freshman, you got to find a quarterback that can run the offense, that can throw the ball and make you a 2-dimensional offense, not just a 1-dimensional team.
8-time All-Pro. Every Wednesday, he's with us for Center of the Week on Culotta and the Prince. You can catch us 7 to 9 a.m. weekdays. Also, hit us on Twitter at 1045 ESPN. Check out the blogs while you're here at 1045ESPN.com.